To all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the midday news on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. We begin from the presidential villa where President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, positioning Nigeria at the center of high-level global conversations on sustainability, climate action, and economic transformation. Our correspondent, Uyi Agbomofwegbe, has the details.
The president touched down at the presidential wing of the Zayed International Airport at exactly 11:30 p.m. local time on Sunday, ahead of the opening of the 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, one of the world's leading platforms on sustainable development, which begins on Monday. President Tinubu was formally received on arrival by senior UAE and Nigerian officials, including the UAE Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Shagbut Nayan Al Nahyan, the UAE Ambassador to Nigeria, Salem Said Al Shamshi, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tugar, and members of the Nigerian diplomatic mission in Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi visit comes shortly after President Tinubu's engagements in Europe, where he held strategic discussions with Rwanda President Paul Kagame and French President Emmanuel Macron, focusing on cooperation, development, and global partnerships. The 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week themed the Nexus of Next, All Systems Go, convenes world leaders, policymakers, investors, and experts to shape practical solutions on climate change, energy transition, sustainable development, and inclusive economic growth. President Tinubu's participation underscores Nigeria's growing role in global sustainability dialogue and further strengthens the country's diplomatic and economic relations with the United Arab Emirates as Nigeria seeks partnerships that support its developmental priorities and long-term growth agenda. Uyi Agbomofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has suspended its planned nationwide strike following the intervention of Vice President Kashim Shettima. The association president, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, said in a statement that the decision to suspend the strike was reached after a meeting of the association's National Executive Council. He said the vice president requested more time to address the issues raised by the doctors, and the National Executive Council agreed to grant the request. The federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, will on Wednesday, January 14, formalize a new agreement to improve Nigeria's universities and ensure sustainability. The announcement was made in a statement released in Abuja by Folasha Adeboriwo, Director of Press and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Education. The formalization of this agreement follows years of engagement between the federal government and ASU to address industrial disputes and improve the quality of education in Nigerian universities. In the meantime, the federal government has proposed over 41 billion naira in the 2026 budget for renovation, refurnishing, and equipping of 109 Nigerian foreign missions. The proposed allocation covers the rehabilitation of chancelleries, ambassadors' residence, and staff quarters, as well as the procurement of office furniture and official vehicle across Nigeria's diplomatic missions. The proposed allocation represents a reduction from the 53 billion naira approved for similar purposes in the 2025 budget. The federal government says it has inaugurated the 40 billion naira closed-circuit television camera CCTV center of the Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos State. Inaugurating the center, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, stated this and directed total reevaluation and rehabilitation of surfaces of the bridge and changing the expansion joints. Now, as Nigeria marks the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the federal government and state governors joined in paying tribute to the nation's military personnel for their unwavering service and sacrifices in defending the country's unity, peace, and territorial integrity. Across the country, the federal and state government also joined in honoring the nation's military personnel, holding interdenominational church services to mark the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The events provided platforms for leaders, including governors and defense officials, to recognize the selfless sacrifices of serving, retired, and fallen soldiers, while reaffirming their commitment to the welfare of troops and their support to families. Meanwhile, Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia has called for greater national appreciation of Nigeria's armed forces as the country marks the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. The governor made the call during an interdenominational church service held in Makurdi to mark the 56th Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. The report.
Worshippers, security personnel, government officials, and religious leaders gathered at the Deeper Life Bible Church headquarters in Makurdi to honor men and women of the armed forces who have served and those who paid the ultimate price in defense of Nigeria. Speaking at the service, Governor Hyacinth Alia disclosed that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has renamed the annual Armed Forces Remembrance Day to Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. Governor Alia said the new name reflects the need to honor serving officers and fallen heroes, while emphasizing that peace and security are vital to national development and require the support of all Nigerians.
For us in Benue State, the significance of Armed Forces Remembrance Day is deeply personal. Our state has witnessed painful security challenges over the years. And we know firsthand the value of peace and the heavy costs of insecurity. We therefore salute not only the fallen heroes, but also the serving personnel of the Nigerian Army, Navy, the Air Force, the police, civil defense, other security agencies who continue to stand between our people, our state, our nation, and danger. As we remember our heroes today, we must also renew our collective resolve as citizens. Security is not the responsibility of government alone.
In a sermon titled Understanding Spiritual Loyalty, Bishop Mike Angor encouraged Nigerians to remain committed to God and to live in unity and love. Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Benue State, Bishop Wilfred Chiukba Anagbe praised the courage of the armed forces and acknowledged the efforts of the state government in improving development and security. The service featured special prayers for fallen heroes, their families, serving and retired military personnel, as well as peace and stability in Nigeria. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere reporting for Global Television News.
The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB. We're going on a quick break. When we return, more stories come your way. You're welcome back from that break, and now the news continues. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has cautioned institutions of higher learning against the conduct of admitting low-ranked candidates and bypassing higher-ranked ones. The exam body directed the immediate reversal of such irregular admissions, warning all institutions to strictly adhere to the established guidelines governing the selection and admission of candidates. A statement by JAMB's Public Communication Advisor, Fabian Benjamin, noted that university admission operates on a three-tier policy of merit, catchment area, and educationally less development states. The statement said each tier is guaranteed strictly by merit, such that candidates with higher ranking must be selected first, followed by others in descending order. The Nigerian Army says sustained military operations have significantly weakened bandits and terrorist activities in Zamfara State, restoring confidence to residents and road users across the state. The commander of the 1 Brigade Nigerian Army, Gusau, Brigadier General Mustafa Jimo, disclosed this during the 2025 West Africa social activities held at the brigade headquarters in Gusau. Now, the report will come to you in our subsequent bulletin. You're watching the live broadcast of the Midday News. When the Midday News returns, Iran warns Washington it will retaliate if the United States launch an attack. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back from that break, and now to business news. The price war in petroleum sector has continued to deepen as some retail outlets have dropped the price of premium motor spirits below the 739 naira per litre recommended by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. The Dangote Refinery slashed petroleum pump price from about 900 naira to 739 naira in December. Many importers and depot owners have lamented mounting losses. Now, to remain competitive, many operators were forced to sell petrol at rates below their cost. During a survey, some filling stations now sell PMS cheaper than MRS oil, the main partner endorsed by the Dangote Refinery to champion the price reduction to 739 naira per litre. Still talking business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is facing potential legal exposure running into trillions of naira, with pending lawsuits against the state-owned energy firm rising to about 2.27 trillion naira in the financial year ended 2024. This is according to an analysis of its 2024 annual showing that while the National Oil Company has recognized 478.8 billion naira as contingent liabilities in its financial statement, additional lawsuits estimated at 1.8 trillion naira remains unresolved across various courts, with no provisions made for them. The legal claims figures represent a 1.63 trillion naira increase, or about 254%, compared with the 638.38 billion naira recorded in 2023. The analysis showed that NNPC recognized 474.8 billion naira as contingent liabilities in its 2024 financial statement, a steep rise from the 18.14 billion provided in 2023, an increase of 456.66 billion naira, or over 2,500% year on year. The federal government has proposed 142 billion naira for the construction of 6 national bus terminals in the 2026 budget, which has a total proposal size of 58.47 trillion naira. The project was captured in the 2026 appropriation bill under the Ministry of Transportation, which was allocated a proposed budget of about 352.1 billion naira for the 2026 fiscal year. The inclusion of the project in the appropriation bill follows an earlier approval by the Federal Executive Council, FEC, in August 2025. And now to the foreign scene. United States President Donald Trump says Washington is considering very strong options in response to Iran's crackdown on anti-government protests, including the possibility of military action. Now, speaking to reporters, Trump said the United States military is reviewing the situation, adding that a decision would be made after careful consideration. He also claimed Iran's leadership had reached out to negotiate following his warnings, noting that a meeting has been arranged, but cautioned that the United States may have to act before a meeting. Fresh protests have broken out across Iran despite a nationwide internet shutdown, as rights groups warn that security forces are using lethal force to crush demonstrations that began over economic hardship and have now escalated into a direct challenge to the theocratic government of the country. And now the report.
Demonstrators returned to the streets of Tehran, Mashhad, and other major cities overnight, defying a heavy security presence and expanding communications blackout, now lasting more than 60 hours. Human rights organizations say the clampdown has intensified, with reports of rising death, mass arrest, and hospitals struggling to cope, even as authorities insist they are responding to vandalism and unrest. Amid de-escalating crackdown, Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's ousted Shah, urged Iranians to remain in the street and continue the protests, describing the moment as decisive for the country's future.
خیابان‌ها را رها نکنید. قلب و روحم با شماست و می‌دانم که به زودی در کنار شما خواهم بود.
With tensions rising and the government warning against foreign interference following comments by United States President Donald Trump, analysts say Iran is facing one of the most serious internal challenges to clerical rule in decades.
The United Nations top court is set to open a landmark case accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against its mostly Muslim Rohingya community. The trial is the first genocide case that the International Court of Justice, ICJ, will take up in full in more than a decade, and its outcome would have repercussions beyond Myanmar, likely affecting South Africa's petition against Israel over its genocidal war in Gaza. The Gambia filed the case against Myanmar at the ICJ, also known as the World Court, in 2019, 2 years after the country's military launched an offensive that forced some 750,000 Rohingya from their homes and into neighboring Bangladesh. And now to sport. The Super Eagles have returned to their Africa Cup of Nations base in Fez to begin preparation for their semi-final clash against Morocco following their quarter-final victory in Marrakesh over Algeria. In a brief statement from the team's media officer, Promise Ofoge, he said the squad was back to base in the ancient Moroccan city, adding that they held a recovery session in the Sardine Football Complex in Fez as they began tactical preparations. In the meantime, the Confederation of African Football has unveiled Nigeria's route to the 2026 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup following the draw for the African qualifiers held on Saturday in Rabat. Nigeria's Under-17 women's team, the Flamingos, will enter the qualification campaign at the second round stage, where they are scheduled to face the winner of the preliminary tie between Niger and Guinea. The first leg of that encounter is set to take place between May 22 and 24, with the return leg fixed for May 29 to 31. Still talking sport, match officials in the Nigeria Premier Football League had confirmed the receipt of unpaid indemnities for officiating in the Nigerian top flight ahead of the second stanza of the 2025-2026 season. The payments to match referees, referee assessors and match commissioners stalled after match day 8, but some referees who were involved in match day 9 and 10 have confirmed the receipt of their allowances, as outstanding payments are expected to be completed before the start of the second stanza on Wednesday. Officials, including referees, match commissioners, and referee assessors, were owed allowances for about 11 match days before the league went on its mid-season break in December 2025. That's it on the Midday News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.